We now return to Pinhead's favourite thing.
Open your boxes. You get to be a cenobite. You get to be a cenobite. You get to be a cenobite. Everybody gets to be a cenobite.
In tonight's episode, I bring you more man-ass and blood on the dance floor than an episode of Queer as Folk. It's the threequel in the Hellraiser series, Hellraiser III, Hell on Earth. And welcome back to All The Gory Details. I'm your host, the Thor of Gore, Kieran Odinson, and in this episode we're looking at the third film in the Hellraiser franchise, Hellraiser III, Hell on Earth. So if you haven't seen it yet, spoiler alert, watch it first and come back for some disco bloodbath fun times. Hell on Earth begins in an art gallery / antique store, where rich nightclub owner, mesh clothing enthusiast, and professional douchebag JP Monroe discovers a strange carved sculpture called the Pillar of Souls. We know from the previous movie where this pillar came from, and with Pinhead's face etched into it, it's clear JP's fine ass isn't going to be around for too long. News reporter Joey Summerskill, who is kind of like a Diet Coke version of Brooke Shields, is at a hospital on a bogus assignment with her cameraman pal Doc, when a teenager gets brought into the emergency room and is torn to shreds by hooks and chains. His friend Terry is all, "Fuck this," and takes off. Determined to find some answers, Joey tries her best to find Terry.
I'm looking for a pretty girl.
That's some fine sleuthing there, Joey. She eventually tracks Terry down, who spends most of the film trying to act her way out of a paper bag, and hanging out at JP's nightclub, the Boiler Room. What's it called?
The Boiler Room.
The Boiler Room? So you're saying it's called the Boiler Room?
We're outside the Boiler Room Club.
Sure hope I don't forget the name of this club.
The Boiler Room? What is the Boiler Room? Where is the Boiler Room?
Terry is, shall we say, oddly frenetic. It's hard to tell if she suffers from addiction, ADHD, bipolar, or just bad acting. She's clearly a student from the No Me Malone School of Acting. Different places! Joey and Terry team up and track down interrogation footage of Kirsty Cotton from the Chenard Institute, and Joey learns all about the puzzle box, Pinhead, and the other cenobites. Meanwhile, JP and some random trade are going at it hammer and tongs. Smoking while fucking. Class act, JP. While Pinhead watches from the pillar. Deadass. His trade, a busty lass named Sandy Tits, who is destined to win an Academy Award.
So cool. Radical. Wow, you've got great taste.
And gets shredded by Pinhead's hooks, ripping her skin off and dragging her into the pillar where she's consumed. Seamless. JP sees what Pinhead has done and has a freak out. Personally, I'd be freaking out over those boxes, Harry Highpants. Pinhead demands JP bring in more clubgoers to feast upon. JP invites Terry over for some fun, and despite the fact that he's an absolute pig, she heads over. She don't love herself. After attempting to feed Terry to Pinhead, JP is knocked unconscious, and Pinhead convinces Terry to feed him some man candy. And Pinhead penetrates JP's head with a piston. Because why not? Joey starts seeing visions of Pinhead's human form, Captain Elliot Spencer. Both Pinhead and Elliot were previously the one entity, but had split apart into a good side and an evil side, leaving Spencer in limbo and Pinhead trapped within the pillar. Without Spencer as a part of him, Pinhead is now a manifestation of pure evil, who is now unbound by the laws of hell and seeks to wreak havoc on the world for kicks, and destroy the puzzle box, which is the only way to send him back. Pinhead escapes from the pillar and massacres the clubgoers like a leather-clad Carrie White, sending out hooks and chains and dispatching the revelers in some pretty creative and awesome ways. Joey shows up and is greeted by the bloody aftermath of Pinhead's wrath, including finding Doc's body. Pinhead orders Joey to give him the puzzle box, but she manages to escape. Pinhead turns some of his victims into cenobites themselves, including Doc as well as a barman and a DJ. Joey runs through the streets with the cenobites in hot pursuit. She finds a police blockade and the cops have a standoff with the new cenobites, who promptly hand their asses to them. Joey takes sanctuary in a church. Pinhead ain't bothered, and he follows her into the church anyway, desecrating the sacred site and forcing his flesh on the poor priest in an unholy communion. Joey's finally trapped in a construction site by the cenobites, including Terry and JP, who has a piston through his head. Get it? Because he likes to fuck. Joey ain't having any of this, so she sends them back to hell with the puzzle box.
play with this Pinhead!
This is also the first time anyone refers to our lead Cenobite as Pinhead on screen. She then has one of her visions of her father, who died in Vietnam, who asks her to give him the puzzle box. The silly twit does so, even though it's highly suspicious that her father would even know what it is, let alone want it. And Pinhead emerges from the disguise, trapping her in a torture device, and it's just when we think it's curtains for Joey, Spencer shows up to meld back together with Pinhead. Joey stabs the reformed Pinhead in the chest with the pointy puzzle box and sends him back to hell. Determined to stop the lament configuration from bringing Pinhead back, she sticks it into the wet cement foundation of the new building, which is shortly finished thereafter, with the new interior design looking suspiciously close to the puzzle box. Directed by Anthony Hickox, Hellraiser 3 pales in comparison to the first two movies. It was the first of the films to be set in the US, and Pinhead's much more talkative in this one, having to use his words much more as he's trapped in the pillar for the first half of the film. The movie suffers from some truly woeful acting, and poor Doc appears to have had his lines dubbed in some dodgy ADR work. We've got some nice man candy, courtesy of JP, even if he is a total douche canoe, making Frank appear like a gentleman by comparison. Fun fact, you can see nods to previous Hellraiser movies and some other horror flicks throughout the film, including signs for Larry's, the Elm Street Cafe, and a nod to Frank's classic line, "Come today." Hellraiser 3 is nowhere near as good as the first two movies, but it's watchable. Okay, maybe I hate watched it. You can definitely feel Clive's absence from this film, and there's a tackiness about it that's both charming and annoying. For every good part of the film, there's at least 3 cringeworthy parts. Well, that's it for this episode. To watch my previous Hellraiser entries, click here or here. And to watch the last episode on Nightbreed, click here. To subscribe to All The Gory Details, click here. Thanks for watching, Gorehors. See you next time.